Welcome to Tannic Grips, everyone.
All right, I need to speak up because my life. And I mean, I literally need to speak up. So that's what Jill and I have been discussing. But we also really want to discuss wines that have been affected by Flor on this beautiful fall day. And I can't think, or actually almost fall.
It's pretty much fall. It's been fall for like 2 weeks
We're feeling autumnal. We
Minneapolis.
kind of thought, let's get these. We think these wines are
Perfect for this time.
yes, kind of perfect for all year. But you know, again, they're really good right now.
Flor means flower in Spanish, and it seems kind of appropriate for this time of year to get a little aromatic pep in our step, if you will. And we thought the best way to do that is to talk about when you say Flor to anybody in the wine community, the first thing they think about is sherry. So wines from southern Spain that have been fortified most of the time. They're blended in this fractional blending system called a solera for consistency, and they're affected by Flor, which means this veil of yeast that forms a top wine in a barrel that is not all the way filled up. We call it, it's got some ullage, it's got some head space. And so today we're going to talk about Flor affected wines, not only a sherry, which is where it's most known, but we're going to talk about a very special treat that is from elsewhere in Spain.
Yeah. I don't know. It's super fun for me. I really enjoy Flor affected wines. I don't necessarily know as much as Jill does, but that's true for a lot of things. But what I know about dogs.
Yeah, I can't even.
I don't even know.
People are like, look at that poodle. I'm like, what's a poodle? I mean, that's pretty much my dog knowledge.
I know more about plants, I guess, but
that's true.
Anyways,
I have Flor kind of coursing through my veins too. I mean, I'll be honest. Like I have. There's probably when the doc takes a sample. It's a little lighter red in color than you think.
They think it's like weird cholesterol or something. It's
maybe.
Not, no. Anyways,
so
it's just Flor.
This is just Flor. This is from a producer called Maestro Sierra, which they are located in the heart of the Sherry Triangle in Andalusia, southern Spain, called Jerez de la Frontera. And this is their Fino style, which Fino is inevitably, it's a minimum of 3 years old. So you always get this pretty complex nose because of its age, but then the Flor that affects it gives it, you were alluding to it earlier, and it's like perfect description.
It's like, for me, Flor almost always has like this texture that's like lactic, and for me it reminds me of like really amazing yogurt. Like it's not quite creamy, but there's some like the weight that yogurt has, and like there's like this quality to it, and it can be like a little bit like nutty and bready, but it's like almost like a yogurt bread.
That's a great call. So what happens is when there's a layer of Flor atop wine, it not only protects the wine from oxidizing, because if you have 30% of your barrel isn't totally filled up, your wine would oxidize, so that Flor, like usually it can naturally form. People can pitch for it too, but in these cases they're both naturally forming Flor. Naturally formed Flor, I think is what I meant to say. Gosh, I haven't even had a sip of sherry yet. And so it protects it from oxidation. It also gives it a lot of like acetic notes, we call it in the business, where it like, exactly what she said. Like it gives it sort of these tones of like nuts and bread. It also gives it some aldehydes that are like, it's called acetic acid, where it's sort of like vinegary, but not. It's one of the world's most complex beverages and goes so well with food.
So well with food. Like it's like this tastes to me like apple yogurt right away, but it could be like with the right food. It's like it becomes so much saltier, and like I love it with olives, like with like it cuts fat really well. Like it's a traditional Spanish wine, like sardines, like all these like kind of salty, like amazing little snacky. It's really, really a beautiful wine, and it's super fun. And it has like, for as light and dry as it is, the Flor adds a certain sense of body, and like that it doesn't allow it to fall off. Kind of like the lightness of it doesn't cause it to dissipate the way that some like very light wines can do.
Yeah,
like it's still lingering on my palate.
Yeah, it definitely has a really long finish, and wines like this, so they're in the sherry region. The wines are fortified, so they add a little bit of like a neutral grape spirit to it to raise the alcohol. And that said, like Britt said, it drinks incredibly light for being a fortified wine. So you're not drinking 5 ounces of this in a glass. I mean, Britt and I are, but you're usually having
We're
like
pros.
and we're pros. Usually like 2 to 3 ounces at a time. So a couple glasses during the course of a meal. And like she said, salty foods, things that are usually really hard to pair with other wines, go great with sherry. Tannic Grips.
Yeah, Tannic Grips.
Oh, yikes! Almost missed it there.
Oysters.
Oh,
Best cherry pairing, in my opinion. And I like almost every type of oyster. Like I've had larger ones from France, like where they're really like. I mean, I guess I've never had Gulf Coast oysters, but no, I'm just talking like a bougie person. But but East Coast and West Coast, like you can have creamier versus brinier, and they're both like hands down like. No knock against Champagne, Chablis, or like Muscadet. Like it's still sherry is still my favorite oyster pairing.
Take a little like you get served your oysters with mignonette.
Yes.
Just take a little spoonful of your sherry and just put it on top of your oyster, and then like boop. Oh my gosh, I'm getting hungry right now. All right,
Well, I mean, let's move it into a Jill Mott selection. This is brought to you by Jill. Jill's also an importer. We all know. But it's a big deal, and these wines, I had the privilege of tasting through some of these Esmeralda Garcia wines with Jill before, and this one is an incredibly special one. Yeah, it's super fun, and I'm really excited about it. I get to taste it for the first time in a while.
Oh, so
and
this
then I
is...
get to bring it home.
She did. She was like, "We aren't going to open this, but do you want to open it?" I was like,
I was out by it. I'm
yeah,
like, I got this. So,
this is a wine from the Great Verdejo, and it's from the Rueda area, which now we're west of Madrid. We're north a little bit, close to Valladolid, and in this area, wines are, for the most part, people taste them and they taste like New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. They're fruity. They've got a ton of yeast and additives, to them. There's not a lot of natural winemaking. Esmeralda makes Verdejo that is not Flor affected. That's what she kind of specializes in. But then she makes a small amount, meaning the entire United States got 3 cases of this. We have like 7 bottles or something. And Esmeralda was shipped a sherry cask of only 100 liters with a small amount of sherry in it. She added her Verdejo to it from a plot called Carrascal. In this case, it's Mi Chico. We have another wine called Mi Chica from a different vineyard that's made the same way. But what happened was Flor automatically formed on the top, which some people go, oh my gosh, wine that kind of tastes like sherry, not fortified, but made from Verdejo. What's cool is that's how wines used to be in this area pre-1960s, 1950s. So really, here we're tasting about a 60-year-old, 70-year-old homage to what that style was like, which is awesome.
It's super cool, yeah. And just to clarify, Carrascal is the vineyard site, and Machico is the name of this wine. There is a Machica that is not Flor affected.
No, it is a Flor affected.
Oh, it is Flor affected.
But it's from a different site.
Oh, they're both Flor
Vajuste.
affected.
Yep, and the Carrascal is, Michico's like rounder and bigger, and Mi Chica is a little bit more kind of delineated, more linear, more direct, if you will. Ooh! All hail 11:25 a.m. It's like the perfect time. If you're in Spain, you'd be eating olives and doing this exact same thing. So, Tannic Grips.
We need to have a potato chip episode.
Yes, we do.
Okay. We'll get back to you on that, but...
Oh. So in this case, the notes are, it's Flor affected, but it's a lot more subdued, yeah, than the sherry.
Mm-hmm. And I want to mention, we didn't chill this. I would definitely recommend like serving it a little colder, but it's still like expressing itself really incredibly well. And this is one of those cool wines that
if we weren't moderately
yeah,
social distancing, I would hug you right now. I'm hugging you from over here. Thanks for opening this. It was really fun.
Yeah, this is so fun. This is so special.
No sulfur added, not filtered. It's great. What does it taste like to you? Do you feel like it's less noticeably like nutty and bready and all those things?
It's a lot, like, to kind of echo your point, it's a lot rounder. I get more fruit characteristics to it. Like, I get more golden delicious apple, whereas I was getting like a lot more like higher tone, like I have more of a Granny Smith apple on the... If we're going to like link it through fruit between the two, I would say like I get apple on both, but very different apples. And this has got some like just more ripeness to it, and like
salty, not salty.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Like, there's this like opulent note to it that I think what's super fun about this as well. It's incredibly interesting. It can go for like a lot of drinkers. Like, if you enjoy like white Rhone blends,
Oh,
or
yeah.
like just some of it, like because it has some viscosity that's really popular in like among grapes that are used in white Rhone blends. But that's a different podcast. But anyways, or video, whatever we're doing. But it's so yeah. There's this opulence to it that is wonderful, but not too decadent.
And
It
what
still
about, like-
comes through with the acid.
Yeah, what about too, like, nut butters, nuts? Like almond or
Oh,
almond
yeah.
butter, almonds, macadamia nut butter, macadamia nuts, like a fresher nut,
Mhm.
almost a raw nut. And here you get
Totally.
like the butter, like she's saying, the opulence. How are we doing
Mhm.
for time?
1 second. We got
Ooh.
like 1 minute left.
All right,
So,
well-
I mean, we'll quickly mention one other wine here. Sometimes you don't even know you're drinking Flor wines, but this is an amazing rosé that many of you probably enjoy. The close to bone is Tiburon is the grape.
And it's got Voile, which is their version of Flor, slightly different, slightly similar, kind of the same, but not. But has, you know, these little nutty tones that sometimes you don't even know you're drinking.
And I think this is kind of like just a cult classic that sometimes I think it's like, oh, that's just a really good rosé. No, that's just really good Flor. Tannic Grip?
The
on
Tannic,
this?
ooh, the Tannic
Oh.
Grip, I'd say
0.25.
I'm there with you.
No. The other one.
To Tannic Grips, to Flor,
Yeah. And to RBG.
to RBG.